Okay. Let me start with a little story. When I came to the UK, this is actually my first time coming to the UK. The first thing that came to my mind was how can I easily adapt to the UK environment? And I thought about food. So when I told the cab driver that took me from the airport, I asked him to take me to the nearest Nigerian restaurant. I just wanted to have a final taste of Nigerian food before I start eating British food. So he took me to a restaurant in Beckham, and I had a very nice time. And I had the opportunity of meeting other Nigerian friends. I didn't have any family here, but I made quite a ton at the restaurant. So when I came to the house, I realized that I was always craving for my traditional meal. So every weekend, I would go back to Beckham to have a taste. And I felt like, then one day my landlady asked me, what am I always going to do at Beckham? I said, I'm always going there to eat. And she said she can also prepare Nigerian food. She's Nigerian, so she started preparing Nigerian food for me. And she told me she has a friend somewhere very close to that cooks Nigerian food. I'm like, okay, every weekend I can actually have my Nigerian food. I can even buy a big bowl, keep in the fridge, and eat over time. So it got me thinking, like I have cooks, good home chefs around me that can cook my favorite food. Why should I go as far as Beckham to get the food at a restaurant? I can have people that are home chefs that can give me homemade food. So sparked an idea in me, like, okay, as a Nigerian, I can have people around me in Greenwich here that knows how to cook Nigerian foods. Can I create a directory where I can just type Nigerian food around me? Fine, it's in Google, but it's on Google, but it only gives you restaurant. There's a huge difference between eating homemade food and eating at a restaurant. Homemade food you have, it's customizable. You can ask them to cook this, have it, and all that. So started thinking, okay, let me create a website where I can have homemade chefs around me. Then I thought about regulatory bodies and how can this, is it possible for you to start a business as an home cook, as a home cooking business here in the UK? And I thought that is possible, and you need to register with the local council very close to you, and also have a certificate. Sorry, I wrote it down somewhere. So I made an inquiry about that and realized that was actually possible. So it's not just about Nigerian food, it's about continental dishes. I have some friends, for instance, I have some friends coming over, from this whatever side of the UK to come visit me. We can have a small party in the house and organize and book like home food in a large quantity. We don't have to go to the restaurant. So is it possible for me to create a directory of home chefs around me? Maybe probably sort them out by categories like African food, Latino, Caribbean, Turkish, and all that. Maybe just categorize it. The user just goes in there, type the postcode, like it gives you a map, then you type the category, then it gives you home chefs, and then you can contact them, then you can order customized. So that's just the summary of it all. And Vishnu also made mention of the last idea was also part of what I was thinking, because it's the same with in Nigeria. You have to go through agents. I didn't go through agents because I had to take out time to sieve out information, and it really took me a lot of time. And I know how many people I'm counseling right now that are still back home, that are trying to get into the UK for education, for their masters and all that. And having gone through that process without using any agent, because you actually need, there's this tradition that you need an agent in Nigeria for you to access, foreign education. And I went through that by myself by just sitting on the computer and browsing, and I found out a lot of information I'm also willing to give out for free to people, because in Nigeria, information is money. You can monetize it. Once you have access to information, you can monetize it and make tons of money. Yeah, so I'm not willing to monetize that. I just want to use it more like for social good. And I have a lot of information at my disposal right now, so I'm willing also I'm trying to create that kind of website where I can guide people on how to choose the best schools, kind of documents they need, how to get financial aid, and all that. So that's the second idea. And then the third idea was I ran it through Nikki, and Nikki made me realize some things that I wanted to create a web, maybe it's a web application that can help people with medical condition remember to take their medications on time. Like my mom, most times forget to take her medication. Then I realized that she didn't actually forget. She intentionally didn't want to take those drugs. And until I started stalking her, and I realized that she intentionally didn't want to take those drugs. I started talking to her like she was a kid again, and like, is it possible for me to create an application where I can get reminders that my mom has not used her medication at this time? Is it possible for me to set up an application, a web application, register her drugs, and be able to take inventory of the kind of drugs that she's taking, and also get a notification, maybe sync, maybe that through push notification or something, push a notification to me that my mom has skipped her drugs. I can give her a call like, Mom, you just keep your drugs. She might not be the one, the actual user, going to the website to check, but I might be the one register her drugs in there and all that. Then I'm just still thinking through. But those other two for now are just what I have. And there's a case. Time is gone, so I will have read out loud.
Thanks again. Questions from the floor? Yes, please.
Yeah, I really like your first idea, the whole cooking stuff, because apart from the fact that Nigerian restaurant food tastes different, you said the homemade food tastes better or something, the food in the restaurant is quite expensive because it's difficult for them to source Nigerian ingredients here. And like, for instance, when I tried to eat out, found out that it was cheaper to eat British food and stuff, so I felt like I will learn how to eat it. And secondly, I felt like if you could add this peer-to-peer feature on your website, it could be nice, because my sister definitely would like to use your service. She makes food, and sometimes when she eats, she'll be like, "What's this rubbish people are cooking?" And people are eating it because they don't have any other alternative. And she doesn't mind making a bowl of egusi soup for somebody and giving her. She usually invites her friends and colleagues to come and taste this food so that to give you the taste of Nigerian stuff. So I think it's a really good idea, and you should go for it.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking that it's just an opportunity to make side income for someone that has culinary skills, instead of just rotting away at home. And you have the skill to cook your traditional meal. You can as well monetize that and get someone that's interested in your food to maybe contact you or something. It will later be developed into a business model, probably commission-based or something, where all transactions are done within the website, and we just get a certain percentage of the transaction fees, and the volume of transactions will result into. It's still sketchy at the moment.
I'll tell you where I am with this, UK. The first idea, which is the one thing you talked to me about a while back, I don't know whether this is going to work, but I want you to try, because it's such a lovely idea. So for me, that's the kind of outstanding idea that out of the three that you've presented to us today. And you're obviously keen, because you've started doing the homework already, right? You know that it's viable. It's possible to do it. And I think because of that, I would say I just want you to run with this idea and see what happens. It could go either way. But do you know what? I don't really care, because it's such a nice idea, and I think you should do it. Prisca.
Yeah, do that. No, I agree. I agree with you. We had a lovely site produced in there. I'm going to put it on Slack in a minute, called Mum's Pots, because we had a mother doing our masters at the same time that her son entered university at an undergraduate level, and the one thing he cried most about was the food. So she did a website called Mum's Pots, and literally just to teach her son how to cook his own meals like she would do, for cheap and quick, and so that they could feed themselves. So to me, I think food is one of those things that everyone who's, especially when you're not at home and there's certain things that you just miss, it's one of those aspects that sort of, gets you right in the heart, as it were. So if you need a bit of homemade food, you feel better.
Yeah.
Temporary, but you know, feel better for you.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why I think if you can make it work, I think that would be amazing. But I think the secret will be for you to find enough people to work with, and just to see whether you know have to scope it well so that you don't over plan and get too ambitious early on, so that you start small. On the other hand, I also like the other two. To be honest, to me, I want to say, yeah, I'm doing all three. Sorry, you're now overworked by 3 projects because I think they could all work. And to me, there's a clear need for all of them. One might be more like, I just want lovely food, but the other one's much more, you know, health related. But you know, to me, the advice side also. So I think you have a tricky decision to make. But they're all really good ideas. And if your heart's with the first one, I would say run with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it is that again, it's a scalable idea. So you can begin with Nigerian cuisine, and that could be your target for the delivery for the masters. But then, of course, afterwards, phase 2 could be other cuisines, Turkish, as you mentioned, and so on. Yeah. Right. Thank you.